Good morning, all participants. Sawadee krap. Welcome to Plenary 3. This is about partnership between public, private, and people. My name is Ichiro Miyazawa. I'm from UNESCO Bangkok office. I feel so privileged to moderate this session. In this session, we have 3 wonderful speakers, 2 national heroes from Thailand, 1 from Unicef New York. The first speaker is Dr. Michai. As everybody knows over the world, he's a figure of lifesaver from HIV/AIDS. And 15 years ago, he started Bamboo School, which has lots of changes and also innovation. And as a UN, we recognize his school as one of the best innovative schools globally. So first, let me request Mr. Michai to speak and share his wonderful school on Bamboo School.
I would like to explore with you today how a school is more than just a school. And we are using the Bamboo School as an example to say that a school must be not only a place of learning, but a place of training and getting students to be useful, to have life skills, occupational skills, and the school must enable them to live at home without having to migrate. And the reason we say all of this is that we need the school to be lifelong learning centers and also as a hub or platform for social and economic advancement in communities surrounding the school. So in the Bamboo School, we want to use as an example, 15 years old, we plan to advance from this to this. It's still a telephone, but it's quite different. And also at this school, students learn life skills and occupational skills in addition to regular academic skills. And our school tries to become a lifelong learning center for all members of the community, not only for the students. And this is the bamboo geodesic dome. Again, to think beyond the box, why can't we use bamboo? This is the world's biggest bamboo geodesic dome. Parents and students pay school fees together in 400 hours of community service each and planting of 400 trees. We don't give you free education because you're not beggars. We give you an education, you in return give something to somebody else. That's another approach we do. And this is part of the tree planting to pay for the school fees. Parents and students do it together. And the students in this school become an active member in managing and administration of the school. Usually schools don't teach kids how to manage. In this school, we let the students help to manage the school in a student government. This is a student government meeting with records, and they must be involved in everything, including purchasing of all food stuff, agricultural materials, food stuff, and also education material and transportation cars. And they receive and record the purchases, and the students welcome all visitors, in this case, 4 cabinet ministers at different times. Students do all the reception, and anyone trying to or wanting to become a student in this school is interviewed and selected by students, not by teachers. At the same time, teachers who apply for a job are also interviewed by students and evaluated and accepted by students. After interviewing, they must also teach how to teach, show how to teach. And if they're not very good, the students won't accept them. And again, agriculture is a very important part. We're a rural school. We want rural students to be adept at agriculture and have a good chance of earning a good income in the future. So we let them begin at school, some basic agriculture, and getting more and more advanced, where we concentrate on agriculture that uses little land, little water, and little labor. Very, very good for elderly people, people living in wheelchairs, and also women with young children. So we aim our agriculture at a special group of people, not everyone. And here the hydroponic hot vegetables being done not only in the ground, so it goes all the way to advanced. And these are grade 7 students. We're a boarding school from grade 7 to grade 12. And these bean sprouts, they will give you a net profit of 250% in 4 days. Again, this is where poor people can earn good income in a short term. We're doing this during the COVID too. We also have student beekeeping to promote the environment. This is the honey for sale. And then the other businesses they do is crafting of lime plants, food selling businesses, and helping rural schools to improve the quality of life and income in surrounding villages. So this school not only serves itself, but it serves other villages and other schools to help the villages to be a focal point of income generation and improvement in the quality of life. And here's an example, a very hilly school in the northern part of Thailand where ethnic minorities live and study. And at the moment, we're helping 76 schools that are working in what we call our school-based integrated rural development, whereby we help schools, government-owned schools, to have a farm, to have a loan fund, and to help students earn income, and to help parents and community members also earn income with a loan fund. And here's a typical picture of one of the 76 schools who are working together, funded by the private sector. So we have very close cooperation with the business community, NGO community, civil society, as well as the villages. And here, for people in wheelchairs, this has been developed at the school by grade 10 students, how to grow vegetable from a wheelchair by raising the ground level higher up. Again, this is a new way of thinking to help people in wheelchairs, not only ordinary people. And then we also have been asked to help blind students grow vegetables. So this is part of the process we're doing. So we must serve, schools must serve everybody else. Big schools serve small schools, moderate size help small ones. If you have assets, you must work to share it. And also we must have empathy. One of the most important things in a student's life in this country, in all countries, is that to have empathy and honesty so that you help other people and a sense of sharing. And here's a student in the school with a bank book. They must have a savings and then have a loan fund, and then to borrow to do business. So we start students borrowing money in primary school, in the 76 schools, and so that one day when they finish school, they'll be very capable of earning an income and being able to stay at home without having to migrate. And so now we're helping all these schools to become gateways for social and economic advancement in surrounding communities. And we've had very strong community participation. So we have very strong connections with the business community and also now with the Ministry of Education and other ministries, with civil society. But most important of all, the community in which we work plays a very important role. Everything we do, we must get their input. And here they are helping to plan what they would like to see happen in the next 3 to 5 years in their own community. So they have a say, and we work together to achieve that. Any financial requirements come from the business community. What's interesting is that any money that comes in is rewarded by the villagers by planting trees. Every tree they plant will earn them 100 baht, which goes into a loan fund operated by women and to be used to help elderly people and others. And here's community people coming in, working together, vegetable farms, using land that cannot grow anything. But again, we use pots and containers, so poor quality land doesn't matter. And here's a borrowing by elderly people in the community to do business. They can do separately or as a group. This is mushrooms, which earns you 200% net profit in a year. And this is cricket, the new superfoods. And here is a program of positive partnership between an elderly person without family support and our students and other young students to work together. And here's another one where we believe that with 20% of the elderly community in Thailand, a school must play an important part and for elderly people. So we want to turn more schools into what I call a country club, a happiness club for the elderly. This can be done in the villages as well as in the school. We have totally underestimated the school. A school has great potential. It's a legal entity. It's got land. It's got building. It's got water. It's got teachers, students, parents, grandparents, and community members. All these are great assets, are real diamonds that can be used to instigate improvements in the quality of life and income for people in surrounding villages. We have underutilized the school. It's a diamond that's been treated as a glass for so long. And then the Prime Minister came along and he liked the project and he asked that we expand it by asking other companies and organizations to join. And the name has been now changed from school-based integrated rural development to the partnership school. And he's asked us to help to get more and more companies to join in. And as of uh, this last year, the Prime Minister has asked that these schools also become lifelong learning centers for all and hubs for social and economic advancement in surrounding communities like the Bamboo School. And here's the signing at the government house of the companies. And here now we have, as of today, 134 partnership schools in 54 provinces with 32 companies helping to sponsor. And here's the Prime Minister visiting one of the schools, students explaining the details of the Prime Minister, and the students now can grow melon and other vegetables with great confidence. And also the microcredit loan fund is made available to parents and community members. And here is a perfect example of melons being grown outside in the villages based on the loan fund from the school. Villagers have said that never thought that the school would be so meaningful to their lives. So now this is a very clear example of how a school can be so much more meaningful, not only to the students, but only to the community members. And we believe the school can do all the things that the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN require. So this is what we're doing in our school. And here is the team leader that visiting the Bamboo School on United Nations Day. And here signing the compact between schools, our school, the Bamboo School, 16 others with the UN. And then we have now established in the villages what we call happiness country clubs for the elderly. We have to give them a chance to have happiness as if they've had before, just like other people. And this is what UN FPA said about the school. It says that the Bamboo School is one of the most innovative schools, one of the world's most innovative schools. And so we're very grateful for that. And we believe the school can be so much more than just a school. So that's what the UN has said about the Bamboo School. So this can be said about many, many, many other schools, not only in Thailand, but right around the world. The school is a real diamond, a real engine of change. You really want to do it. And from now on, I'm trying very hard to get all ministries to put their programs through schools into the communities, not go in independently, but to go through schools. You've got the school as an entity, you have students, you've got communities to help to further the development of the project. So we believe that this is the approach and that all schools in the world must become agents of change and hubs for social and economic advancement in villages. So everyone who wants to have some advancement in the villages should implement it through the school and with the cooperation of the students and the school. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Michai. Lots of inspirations. So the next second speaker is Mr. Mark Gobinsky from Unicef headquarters in New York. Now he has been using ICT technology to support migrant and refugee children. Let me request Mr. Mark to share about global initiative of UNICEF to promote education through ICT for the most disadvantaged children.
Hi, my name is Mac Levinsky. I am the Global Program Manager for the Learning Passport, and I'm going to describe to you a little bit today about the initiative that is the Learning Passport and the impact that we're trying to achieve. I work for UNICEF in New York headquarters, have been with the organization around 15 years, working in the intersection of humanitarian and development programs and technology. So here to give you an introduction to the Learning Passport, which is a flagship project between UNICEF, Microsoft, and some other partners. Um, the reason that I'm here and the reason the Learning Passport exists is that there is a learning crisis. There are a lot of children in school around the world that aren't achieving basic proficiency in basic concepts. Um, in reading and math in particular, there are 387 million children, and this is prior to COVID and prior to the disruption of the education system, who are not reading and understanding math at the levels that they should be. And this is despite those kids being in school. School attendance does not always result in learning, and learning poverty is widespread in the world. And so this is the problem that we're trying to kind of tackle in the Learning Passport. Um, there, when you break down that 387 million kids, you understand that the challenges are manifold. The uh, the challenges are quite numerous. There are challenges for learners, there are challenges for facilitators, there are challenges for education system providers. There's a lack of quality across the board. There's inadequate access to materials. There are challenges, and there are barriers. There's a lack of psychosocial support and well-being. There's limited access to school. There's a lack of records across the system, and there's a lack of quality. And so that's really the thrust of the Learning Passport, which is trying to bring quality digital education experiences to anyone, anytime, anywhere. The Learning Passport is really trying to close this learning poverty gap. And it is at its core a technology platform that is embedded in a UNICEF program of education that has four main components. We have the ability to serve local contextualized content like national curriculum. We also have a big global library of supplemental content that maps to that local content via a curriculum framework that was developed by Cambridge University. And that's really to understand the relationship between concepts in different education systems. This is all underpinned by a technology platform delivered by Microsoft, where we provide cutting edge best in class digital experiences to learners online, to learners via mobile phones, and then we have an offline model. So bringing a digital world-class learning experience to learners that have had very limited access to machines in the digital ecosystems. And in all this, there's a supportive environment. The key difference between access and technology and learning is the supportive system, the community, the teachers, the facilitators, the administrators, the counselors, the parents, around a learner to achieve improved learning. And part of this is, of course, socio-emotional learning, psychosocial support, peer support, the human concepts that are really part of any positive learning experience. And so what we're trying to do, or what we were trying to do post-COVID, and things have pivoted a bit, but meet the needs of primary school children, and it enabled continuous access to learning, and to improve learning outcomes, and to provide entry into formal systems or opportunity pathways via skill-based components, and really at the end of the day, it's about employability. The Learning Passport has since expanded to meet the needs of early childhood through adolescent age groups. And so we're quite a big project at this moment as a result of really the expansion of the effort in COVID times. We have some big partners with us, which is really the strength of the project. UNICEF is the world's leader, the world's leading agency of UN agency for women and children. We have over 800 staff that work in education in 128 country offices around the world, supporting governments, supporting most governments around the world at a at a very tight relationship with ministries and government, and we're about to scale. It's a big organization, and we have big ambitions, especially in education. So our numbers are not small. Cambridge University was a foundational partner in this, delivering that academic research around the curriculum framework, a concept of certification. And so they really set the stage with us of that research agenda to really understand what our entry point was. And as we've moved forward, it's really been Microsoft, the world's biggest software house. I mean, it doesn't get better than working with the deep technology experts in Microsoft. Um, and Unicef pairing together, supported by the Boston Consulting Group, supported by Dubai Cares, a number of other additional partners that have come on board. But really, the concept here is scale. Unicef and Microsoft, when they do things, they do them quite big. And so, again, we have ambitious goals in the Learning Passport to reach millions of users in the near term and even more beyond that. We have 5 value propositions that are that are girding improved access and improved learning outcomes, a curriculum framework and that helps us curate content, uh, that global content, how we understand that that content can be locally relevant, that's in language and concepts that make sense to learners, and concepts that make sense to teachers and facilitators and parents and the community. Because it's a digital platform and it's really kind of built with the best design principles in mind. It's intuitive and it promises an improved learning experience for individuals, whether or not this is their first time interacting with computers or if they're natives, digital natives, like a lot of the young people in the world are today. Um, because it's a digital product and all information in some models lives in the cloud or user records live in the cloud. Everything that a learner consumes creates a granular record of their of the content that they've gone through, as well as assessments to understand their retention of the concepts in the content. And because that record lives in the cloud, it's portable across digital and physical boundaries in this kind of new world where movement is really a main facet, especially with marginalized groups, refugees, displaced people, et cetera. And then because of the partners involved, and really, my luck in this project is that it's essentially credible. UNICEF supporting governments with Microsoft, Cambridge University, really um, draws people to understand that we do things with seriousness, with rigor, with fidelity, and the backing of the organizations of UNICEF and Microsoft are important to understand that this project, the goals and the real foundational approaches of those two very big and um, broad organizations, the level of effort that we're bring to this initiative, and really it's for all vulnerable children around the world, and now it's even for parents and for teachers, but we focus on vulnerability. So those that have the most to gain out of the digital learning experience are our priority user groups. So we have 3 real value statements, right? We have things for learners. They have limited quality. We want to improve quality and give them a pathway to skills or to education systems or employability. For facilitators and providers of education, we want to have them have the best in class content available in the world, locally, improved content, digitizing curriculum, et cetera, but also a supplemental global library of content that they can map onto their local concepts. And then governments too. We want to strengthen this very new normal of distance education around the world. And we want to be a trusted partner of governments globally to say, these are partners that we know, these are partners that we know that can do the job. And so UNICEF and Microsoft are people that we would think would be excellent partners in delivering digital education experiences. And all this, the funding community, the donor community is quite interested, and we have a number of people that have already come around the table, and we have a number of other ones that we are in conversation with. There is a significant benefit to every year of learning that an individual achieves wherever they are in the world. And some of the stats here are uh, always incredible to me, right? You can reduce fertility significantly. You increase women's earnings significantly. There is a correlation to growth in GDP. We can lift people out of poverty with education. And digital education has the added bonus of translating well into the digital ecosystem or the digital industry, right? There's a lot of jobs that are emerging in this digital realm, and the Learning Passport is one of those things that we see preparing youth for the future, right? In terms of the future of what their work is going to be like, as well as the future of schooling, vaccination, child survival, increase in earnings, all these things are, and a global reduction in poverty. All these things are really um, in the background as to the foundational concepts as to why UNICEF invests so heavily into education and why a partner like Microsoft is also along with us in that journey. The Learning Passport reaches kids in formal education systems, so that's your national systems. It provides an experience in non-formal systems, and then we also have a self-learning methodology too. So a kid can connect in their home, a kid connect in a learning center, a kid can connect in their school, and connect, I mean consume digital content with or without an internet connection. And so that's something that we're trying to change the game into saying that that digital experience in resource poor environments is equally, if not more important to bring to individuals and learners to allow them access to the best stuff that the world has to offer. The executive director in UNICEF is one of my biggest sponsors. It doesn't get bigger in my world. And this was in response to COVID. We pivoted the project to say there was a huge need out there. We had a platform that could meet that need. And so we kind of pivoted efforts to say we will make the platform available to anyone, any country in the world that doesn't have a digital national education system that's digital, or that has one that has excluded groups, right? There's not a lot of stuff for adolescents, and there's not stuff for early childhood, or there are migrants that aren't allowed to participate. Uh, the CEO of Microsoft is also a big partner and a supporter of Learning Passport. The president of Microsoft uh, recorded a video about the launch of Learning Passport 2, which I invite you to see. We have a number of countries on board right now. Timor-Leste, there's a number of users, Jordan and Bangladesh, in that online methodology or the online model. Offline model, as schools are reopening, is becoming more prominent. And so we're working with countries all around the world. And I think this list shows you the diversity of the need out there. So the use case in Kosovo is entirely different than the use case in Somalia in terms of just the parameters and society and connectivity, et cetera. But the need remains the same, right? Young people want access to digital systems, digital education, best in class digital content. And governments and education providers want to structure that in the way that it makes sense for national pedagogies or educational curriculums, or the way that things are taught in places to, have kids move along that learning journey, to find jobs or skills or move on in their lives, and really realize the benefits that education promises. And again, I think that all these countries show the diversity of approach too. No two learning passports are the same. They're entirely customized on those country contexts. And for example, Timor-Leste, it's the national education platform. In Jordan, it's a supplementary platform for adolescents. And in Bangladesh, it's used for teacher training. So we see the needs really dictate the adoption of the learning passport. We have some screenshots here from Timor-Leste. The Learning Passport is branded as a local thing. It's called the Scola Uma. We can publish a mobile application for you. And if you want to get more involved, head to learningpassport.org. You can write me, Mac Levinsky, or Fabrice, my dear colleague, who's our deployment specialist that really leads the work of supporting countries. Do reach out, and if you want to find more, learningpassport.org has a number of other resources, and you can try a demo there. We invite you to get involved, and do get in touch. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mark. Amazing initiative by UNICEF and private sectors. So, at last, importantly, let me request number 3 speaker. Floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Krating. I'm the founder of Disrupt Technology Venture and Stormbaker Venture. Since 2012, Disrupt Technology Venture has educated and graduated 1,500 startup founders in Thailand and play a major role in digital landscape in Thailand. We believe in the power of social entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation in facing social problems. And this year, we are very, very honored and we are very glad to work with Equitable Education Fund in order to apply social entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology to solve the education inequality problem, which impact over 4 million people in Thailand. And this year, we are glad to work with Equitable Education Fund again to to launch the hackathon in education we basically like launch a hackathon in education, and over 500 people apply, and from 100 almost 150 teams, and we select the top 30 team to come up to do a hackathon, even during a COVID. And you can see an overwhelming power, energy, and commitment from these social entrepreneurs and innovators. They are very passionate, they are very excited, and they are very energetic to work with Equitable Education Fund and also Disrupt Technology Venture to come up with innovative solution, and many times to leverage the power of technology to build a sustainable model to solve the education inequality problem that impact over 4 million people. So we built the strength of both education, of both the Equitable Education Fund, and also the power of social entrepreneurship, and also the thinking of startup, especially the lean startup, to come up with a quick prototype and then test. And also we are happy to leverage the knowledge base of the network of Equitable Education Fund. So it is a very synergistic collaboration between the two to come up with innovative solution. And then we select 10, and from Disrupt Technology Venture point of view, we plan to invest. We have already invested over 8 education technology startup from the social impact standpoint and also the scalable edtech startup standpoint. And this year we plan to invest another 4, so that and together with Equitable Education Fund, there will be many more innovation that we plan to invest, incubate, and also try to scale that impact throughout Thailand. And so far we have impacted 200,000 people in Thailand with our effort, and we hope we will impact over 1 million people together. So when you work with the government agency, we come up with different strength, with different point of view. So I see the way we work together very successfully is that you need to apply design thinking, but adapt the design thinking approach. So you have to empathize with each other. That's the first step. Listen from each other point of view. Try to see the strength in each other and see their objective, their goals, and try to form a shared vision and common mission, and then try to form a strategy. So that's the first step, empathize with each other. The second step, try to define a common area of interest and define common problems to work with each other. There will always be a place, you can work together. So define a common vision, define a common interest, empathize with each other, define a common mission and common problems to work together, empathize, define, and collaborate to co-create. That's the third step. You collaborate with each other. There'll be some tension definitely because you come up with different point of view and different background, and you have to understand that the government officer, sometimes and many times they need to follow and comply with the rules. And in Thailand, there are many outdated rules. There are over 200,000, 200,000. I'm not mistaken. 200,000 regulation that has been created, that was created, since the World War One. So then but then there's no way that you can change and transform regulation overnight. So you need to understand the pace and the parameter and limitation that the government agency need to work with. And also the government agency, especially the very progressive equitable education fund is, they understand the pace and space, that the startups and also the private sector try to work, but they understand, but at the same time, they have a huge experience in education. They know what works, what doesn't work, and sometimes it's not technology problem at all. So the private sector need to understand deeply and try to leverage the strength and go together, because only going together and working together you can go far. So then the third step, and then the fourth step is that come up with a prototype, quickly come up with prototype, even it's a baby step, but that baby step is very important. Try to come up with a baby step that is impactful and meaningful and tangible and concrete, and then commit with each other with that prototype and test it quickly in the market. There's nothing that can replace testing the prototype of your idea, of your roadmap together in the marketplace, because all the business plan work in theory, in paper, but it failed immediately. when it meet the market, when it meet a challenge in the market. And the in education space is very, very difficult, like, and many times you can come up with solution, but then you cannot own the solution. And it's very important to respect the local limitation, local differences, so then the local community need to own it, so that's like your role is not to own it. And sometimes, like, you need to let it go and let the community shape the long-term solution. You come up with a prototype, test, iterate quickly, and work with the community. And that's the people who have a problem, they own the problem. So that's your job. And then prototype and iterate. And that's the design thinking, adapted design thinking approach that I find it very successful in working between like private people and public sector. So again, like, come up with open mind. Again, the principle that will make it successful: open, collaborate, co-create, and then sharing. You share the success together and also share the learning together. That's the important stuff to make it really successful, and always engage the local community that is part of the problem and try to create the ecosystem. That will be very important. Like, it's a key to success between private, public, and the people at the local level and every single level, and try to scale your impact immediately, leveraging the power of technology. And also, again, those from private sector, I tell you this: post COVID, people, like, people will see the private sector, people will see the company and corporation as the solution, as a critical solution to the society problems. They don't see it as providing product and service anymore. That's not the only role of the private sector. The private sector need to step up and solve the societal problem, especially the pressing need, the pressing problems. There are many problems that you can play. Education is one of the key problems that you can step up and solve, and you can do many stuff. So I encourage all the private sector to step up and be the change to the society that you operate in. Be a solution, be a change agent, and also stepping up, and you become not only a business leader, but then you become, a legacy. That's how you build a legacy. You'll be a leader. There's no business leader. There's no public sector leader. That's just a leader. And role of leader is to change the world, make it better for the next generation. That's how you build a sustainable business. Thank you.
Thank you so much for wonderful sharing, three speakers. We are all inspired today. And then I'm sure lots of questions are coming to us, and hopefully they can get answers sooner or later. Q&A session is going to be started after the discussion session starts. Thank you very much.